Hello and welcome to a new tutorial. In this tutorial we will talk about the Chiemsee Summer top. So this is the Chiemsee Summer tops for adults, and I have also written a pattern for a kids version. So this here. And because there's some other construction up here, I decided to film another full tutorial, and we will knit another striped version. So we will knit this one here, and we will talk about every detail of this construction. So we start with Judy's Magic Cast On. I will show you how to do the increases here. So we talk about make one left, make one right, make one left purl, make one right purl, and then we will talk about how to join here and how to join here, and how to knit the centered double decrease here. And then I will show you some trick to knit here, some how to change the colors in stripes jogless, so that you don't have here any steps where you change the colors. And in the end we are also talking about how to bind off with the Italian bind off. So that's what this tutorial is about. Let's get started. I have now a printed out copy of the Chiemsee Summer top for the kids version. I prefer printing them out and make some notes. You can also do that on a tablet or iPad or something like that. First step is to choose the size you want to knit. Those sizes correspond to how it is usually written in Europe. So you have either compared it to the age of the children or the centimeters. So we have the size 86 to 92 centimeters. That's the usual size in Europe. It means that the child is 86 to 92 centimeters from head to toe. So that's not any length of the garment, it's how tall your kid is, or the kid you want to knit for. And the other measurement you have is the bust measurement for the finished top. So those are two numbers to choose, which, or three numbers. You could also work with the years if you're not, if you don't really know the measurements, because maybe it's a gift knit for a kid from of someone else, you can estimate it with the years. Yes, I'm knitting a second top for my older daughter. She is 6 years old. That would correspond to 110 to 116 centimeters. I think that's what I want to go for. So the top will have in the end 63 centimeters. I'm working with centimeters because I'm from Germany. If you're working with inches, work with the inches. I always prefer to, or I recommend it to circle the numbers that are important for you, especially when you work afterwards with the pattern and it's stitch counts or the row repeats or something like that. Always circle the numbers. Then for the size you want to knit, then you're safe. So I first go through the pattern, circle every number that's important, and then I cast on. Next thing we have here in the pattern is the gauge. So I have a gauge swatch from the tops I knitted before, and since I'm knitting with the same yarn, and 5 grams for 162 meters. And that's what I have here in another color. That's what I swatched for. So it was my swatch for the Chiemsee Summer Top Kits. And I got the 29 stitches over the 40 rows with a steel needle. And that's how the fabric looks like in the end. So that's what I will work for. I always recommend to do this swatch because it gives you a feeling for the fabric you're working with. It gives you an idea of how the gauge will be and how the garment will fit in the end. So it is not that important to have the exact gauge, but if you want to fit the garment exactly like it is written in the pattern, then it is good to have a to get gauge. Maybe you saw that I knitted my gauge flat and not in the round. The reason for that is all the shaping happens when we are knitting flat. So we are knitting flat until we join on the underarm, and then it is knitting in the round. So the how deep the neckline will be, or how deep the armholes will be, and how wide it will be, that all is shaped when we're knitting flat. So we first knit the left front panel until here, then we knit the right front panel and join them, then we knit the front till we reach the depth of the underarm. Then we pick up the stitches here for the right back panel, and then we pick up the stitches for the left back panel, join them, knit the back, and then we are joining in the round. So all the shaping happens where we knit flat. And that's why I did not make a swatch knitted in the round, but I swatch that is knitted flat, because that is the important part for this design. How long you knit it afterwards, that depends on you. I have two lengths in this, a cropped version, as you can see here, and a longer version. But you can adjust this, of course. The top is knitted in several parts. So you have a part up here, you have a part here, and you have a part here, where you do several different increases in case you get knot gauge. You could easily adjust this by adding or leaving out some rows. So if you don't get the row gauge, but you're perfectly fine with the stitch gauge, you could easily add here some rows where you just did straight and then start later with the shaping. So you get a deeper neckline and a deeper armhole. If you have problems with the stitch gauge, you can easily leave out here a few rows or add a few rows, depending on you want to become smaller or wider. So that you can always do. If you don't get gauge, think about how to adjust the pattern that in the end this garment will fit the way you want it to. So I recommend to knit a gauge swatch so you have an idea of how it will look in the end, done in stockinette with a 3mm needle and flat, because the shaping happens in the flat part. So here's some
notes about what notions you will need, what skills are required, and so on. Then I have here the preparations for the pattern. I have here the note on a turning stitch because I do that in a special way to have a neater edging line. Yes. And then we will start with the pattern. So in this tutorial, I will knit a striped version, which is easy to do with the pattern, even if it's not written down. I have knitted one before. That's the smallest size I have done for my younger daughter. Those stripes are 10 rows or rounds thick. So we cast on here. And that's why I have started the cast on with one color and then knitted 4 rows, because you have from the cast on 1 row and another row, so you make 4 in this direction and 4 in this direction, so you have 4 rows, and 4 rows is 8 plus 2 from the Judy's Magic Cast on are 10 rows. And then I knitted each color in 10 rows. I will show you how I do the joining here. I show how you can get, now I have to look which one is front and back. So this is where I had the beginning of the round. I show you how I change the color, so you don't have here any steps you can see, but it's going smooth. I will show you that. I will show you how I pass the working yarn, so I don't have to weave in that many ends, because I don't like that. And I'm usually, when I'm working in stripes that are not too big, I just catch the other color in the inside. Yes. So that's what we will do. We will knit it striped, and I will use these 2 colors, and I will start with the darker one. So one thing I have forgot to tell you about the yarn. This yarn is not a plied one. It has it is these blown in yarn, so you have some tube and the fibers are blown in. It's not chained, it's not plied. That's why it is so fluffy, and that's why it is so light. So if you want to substitute the yarn, please don't look after the weight, because that will give you a false amount of yarn you need. Please look after the yards or the meterage you need for the top. That will give you a better idea of how much yarn you need for this pattern. Yes, so now we can start with the cast on. I always keep my needles in their original package, so I know exactly what size they are, because you sometimes have the feeling when you're working a lot with the needles that the prints will go off after a certain amount of time. And here I have it written, and that's how I find it much easier. So I'm working with a 3mm needle or a US 2.5, depending on depending on how you will get gauge. And as you can see, I only have it as a 100 centimeters, so 40 inches round circular needle. So I have to do magic loop, but I don't really mind. Some people have problems with getting some gaps when working with magic loop, but I can show you how to avoid this. But you would be better off when having a smaller circular needle, if you have some. If not, I'm working with a bigger one, so it'll work. We start casting on with Judy's Magic Cast On 7 stitches on each needle. So you have for the cast on both needle tips in your right hand pointing to the left. You have the upper needle and the lower needle. You start by leaving a tail. You don't need that much. It's just 14 stitches in total. So the skein of yarn is coming from the working yarn from the skein is coming here, and the tail of yarn is going that way. So you lay it over the upper needle, that upwards is going to the skein and downwards is going to the tail. And then you start twisting it. So you bring the skein down here and the tail up here. I actually have a full video tutorial where I show all this separately, so you can watch this. I have linked it above. And now we have the first stitch on our needles. Now I pick it for a triangle like this. This is the tail of yarn and this is the working yarn. The first stitch is around the upper needle, and on the lower needle we don't have any stitches yet. So we start with that. And now I go with the tail of yarn over my index finger from above over the lower needle and go in between the needles. Now we have on each needle one stitch. You actually need the same amount of stitches on both needles. And then I go with the working yarn I have over my thumb, between the needles and over the upper needle. That's stitch 2 on the upper needle. Then I go with the working yarn over my index finger under both needles and come from below over the lower needle and go in between the needles. So now I have 4, and that's the smooth motion we're doing here. Sometimes it is not going here in between. So 3 on each, 4 on each, 5, 6, 7. Count again. 2, 4, 6, 7. So secure the tail of yarn with your ring finger. Pick up your working yarn and pull out the lower needle. And then we can start knitting. So in the first row, we are working on the right side. Okay, so now we have to, it's a really fluffy yarn, so it's sometimes hard to see. We now have to knit 1, knit 2, purl 1. Then the pattern says to place a marker. So we will do that. Place a marker. Then knit 1. Place a marker. And oops. Purl 1 and knit 2 and turn work. The start is a bit fiddly. It will get better in the end. Now we are on the wrong side and we will knit the first turning stitch. So for the turning stitch, you now have the yarn in front. You go in purlwise into your first stitch and slip it with yarn in front. And then you will form a yarn over. And then you will purl the next stitch. You don't pull really hard on that yarn over, but you can pull a bit so your turning stitch is not as sloppy. That's the idea of it. Then we knit a knit stitch through the back loop. So we have a twisted rib, slip the marker, purl 1, slip the marker, knit 1 through the back loop, and purl 2. And then we turn our work. Now we are on the right side again and we knit our next turning stitch. So we have the yarn in front, we slip purlwise, purlwise the first stitch, and then we form a yarn over, and then we knit the next stitch, then we purl through the back loop, like a twisted rib, slip the marker, knit 1, slip the marker, purl through the back loop, knit 1, and now we are resolving the turning stitch with the yarn over. So what we now do is we knit the turning stitch together. That means that we go knitwise through both legs and just knit them together. That's why when you have when they're staying, you have now X amount of stitches on your needle. So in our case, we still have 7 stitches. How to count them? You have here 2 and then 4 and then 6, and then you have 2 legs left. So this is the turning stitch, this is the yarn over. I count them together. That's why you have 7 stitches, because in each row we do a yarn over and then we knit them back together. So it's 1 stitch actually. So that's what you have to know when you count your stitches. I wrote that in my notes about the turning stitch. And so read your instructions before you start, because there will be some information about how to knit this. So I don't count the yarn overs as a separate stitch. When I say you have 7 stitches on your needle, you have actually 8 legs, because you still have your yarn over on one side. Okay? So with that in mind, we now knit the next row on the wrong side. So we have again our yarn in the front. Go in purlwise, slip it, do the yarn over, purl 1, knit through back loop, slip your marker, purl 1, slip the marker, knit through the back loop, purl 1, and since we are working here on the wrong side now, you have here the yarn over and the turning stitch, we are now purling both legs together. That's how we resolve the turning stitch on the wrong side. And that were the 4 first rows. In my case, I now will change the color. If you want to knit another thickness of stripes, you have to change either before that or somewhere later, or if you make it in only one color, then you can skip this part. But I now start with the second color. Yes, but before I will do that, you now have to look in your pattern, because I don't need to repeat rows 3 and 4. But there are some sizes which need to repeat rows 3 and 4. So if you have to do that, or if you want to do that in order to work with another gauge, repeat your rows, and then we meet again when you are at row 5. I don't have any repeats here for the size I'm working on, so I will start directly with the row 5. And for that, I'm at the wrong color. I now secure the tail here with my ring finger, grab my working yarn, and then just start knitting. So I now have to slip with yarn in front, which feels stupid when you have not knitted yet, but we can fix it when we weave in the ends. So I have slipped one with yarn in front, my turning stitch. Then I knit one, and then we do our first increase. So we do a make one left. So we lift this bar up, and I actually lost a stitch, which is a perfect time to show you how to resolve that. If you have never done that before, don't panic. So I somehow have here lost a stitch. So what you always can do is pick up a hook and go in like this and bring it back on the needle, and then we are back. So we do it again. Secure the tail, then knit the first stitch. Now really the right stitch. Then pick up the bar between the stitches and bring it on your left-handed needle. That way that it will, oh, now it's wrong because I did it, now it's leaning on the right, to the right side, but I want a make one left. So this leg has to lean to the left. It's easy. If you want to make one left, this one has lean to the left, and then you knit the leg that is farther away from your right hand needle. So in this case, it is the back loop. Go through the back loop, knit it. Then we have a purl through the back loop for the twisted ribbing edge. Slip the marker, knit one, slip the marker, purl through the back loop, knit one, and knit the turning stitch together and turn your work. We are now on row 6. There is nothing happen for the next let me check if I don't tell you any stupid things, but yes, there's nothing happening in the next 3 rows. So if you don't have changed colors as I have, you can just continue to row 9, and then we meet in row 9 again. If you have changed the color as then you can stay with me for this row because I show you how I work with the yarn over, but yes, you can head away. So slip the turning stitch, do the yarn over, and I again have lost a stitch because this yarn is slippery. So to fix this, when you're coming on the wrong side and have to purl it, you go in from the back and grab it and put it back on the needle. So pick up your stitch. So, and I put it the wrong way on the needle. So turning it. Then I can just, that was my little daughter. So slipping and yarn over, then purling one, knit through the back loop, slip marker, purl one, slip marker, knit through the back loop per one, then per a second one, because we did a make one left, we now have one more stitch to purl or to knit, depending on the side, and then knit this yarn over that's just laying over the turning stitch together, and then tighten up all the ends we have here. This is not fun for the first time, but it will get better. Now, when we turn again, I'm now carrying the working yarn from the darker color with me. So I have here a bit to separate my ends. So this is the second end. I'm weaving them in when I have something to weave in. So now I'm laying this one over my actual working yarn. That's how I carry it up till I need it again. And I don't have to weave in that many ends. You can also just break the yarn, weave in the end, and then start again when you change next time color. But I prefer to do it that way. I rather carry it up than knitting in or weaving in all the ends. So now I have here twisted the two working yarns. Now I bring my working yarn in front so I can do the turning stitch by slipping and doing the yarn over. Then we try to get it out of the way. So then we have nothing to do but knit and knit the second one, which was the make one left, purl through the back loop, slip the marker, knit one, slip the marker, purl through the back loop, knit one, and knit the turning stitch together. And that's how you carry your yarn up. So now I knit row 8 and then we meet again. So now it's the perfect time to set those stitches aside so it's not that fiddly to knit anymore. I prefer to do that after a few rows and not at the start. You can do it how you prefer to do. So I just have here some waste yarn, scrap yarn, and doing it with a needle. You can also use some rubber cord if you have so. It should be 7 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't pull it through. That would be no good idea. And now it's not that fiddly to knit anymore. I know at the start. Did I just... Where am I with my head right now? So I know the start is a bit fiddly, especially if you're working with a light yarn like Suave, and even more when you're working with two colors. So, but now we are at row 9. I again twist here my yarns to carry the dark one up until I need it again. So then we slip one stitch with yarn over, knit one, and now we are doing a make one left purl, and that's we are picking up the bar, laying it over our left-handed needle that way that the leg will point to the left. So the same as we did with make one left, we now have a make one left purl, so the leg has to point to the left side, and we have to purl the leg that is far away, so the one in the back, and that's what we will do. We purl through the back loop, and that's how you make one purl. And then we knit one, we purl one through the back loop, we slip the marker, we knit one, we slip the marker, we purl through the back loop, we knit one, and we knit yarn over and turning stitch together. So that was row 9. There will nothing happen until row 13. So knit until row 13 and then we will meet again. So now I am at row 13. You should probably count your stitches after every increase section. We didn't do that after the last one, but I will do it now. So I have now 2, 4, 6, 8, and the yarn over plus turning stitch is 1, so 9 stitches on the needle. And that's what is said here. We did 2 increases until now, 1 make 1 left and 1 make 1 left purl. So in row 13 we are doing 1 make 1 left after the slip mark, after the first stitch marker, and then we make 1 right. So first we do a make 1 left here on the triangle and not on the edging anymore, and then we will do a make 1 right here to have here also the thicker edge as we did here. So that's what we will do now. I already picked up here my yarn from the other color. I already twisted them. So we are now at row 13. I am now slipping the first stitch with yarn in front. I form the yarn over, knit one, purl through the back loop, knit one, purl through the back loop, slip the marker, and now we are doing a make one left again. So leg has to lean to the left, and then we just knit it through the back loop. If it lets me. So now it is knitted through the back loop, knit to the marker, slip the marker, purl through the back loop, and that's where we now make one right. So now we pick up the bar here in between and lay it on the left hand needle, and this way we lay it that way that it points to the right. And now the leg in front is farther away from my right hand needle, so I now knit it through the front leg. So always choose the harder one. Na komm. Sometimes it's easy, and sometimes it just will not. So then knit one, knit turning stitch and yarn over together. On row 14 will nothing happen. So we meet at, yes, in row 15 you have another make one left after the first marker, and then we see us again in row 17. Okay, so you knit to row 17. If you want to do the stripes like I do, so every 10th row, then don't forget to change the color in row 15. Otherwise, I'll see you in row 17. So I'm in row 15 where I switch colors. I just can grab now my first color again, the darker one. So it's much easier than the color change before, but when you now start knitting, don't pull it too tight, because then you will do this. Yes, that's not really pretty, so let it as loose as possible, and then slip the first stitch with yarn in front and knit without pulling at it. And now go through the back loop, knit, and now it will not happen anything. So that was it for the color change. After slipping the marker, you should, I think, do a make one left. Yes, that's right. So again, a make one left, don't forget about that. And then we will meet again in row 17. It is getting darker outside, so I had to turn on the artificial lights. I hope you won't mind. So I need again to twist my yarn. Now I have to carry up the second color. Oops, that was the wrong direction. It's better to do it that way. So the second color will stay inside. Okay. So now we are at row 17, where we now, as usual, slip the first stitch with yarn in front, make the yarn over, knit one, purl one through the back loop, knit one, purl one through the back loop, slip the marker, make one left, knit to the marker, slip the marker, purl one through the back loop, knit one, and now make one right purl. So picking up the bar on the left hand needle, we do a make one right, so it has to lean right, and then we purl it through the loop that is far away. That's the front loop here. So oops, don't stip it, just purl it, and it's done. Knit one, knit turning stitch together, and turn your work. That was row 17, and we meet again on row 19. So now we are at row 19. It is said that a total of 5 stitches have been increased, and we should have now 14 stitches on our needle. So we will count that. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and one knit stitch, one turning stitch, 14. So that's right. We now have the edge ready. So we have 5 stitches here for the edge and 5 stitches here. And now it is just knitting the front left panel. So we do on every right side a make one left here and a make one right here. If you need more or less stitches now for the width of the garment, you can now play with the amount of repeats of 19 and row 19 and 20. If you have to adjust the length for some row gauge, you can
do that in the rows 1. You can do this with the rows 3 and 4 here in the beginning. So when you have knitted the front, you can also lay it on the shoulder of the kid, of your child, and don't put it up on your shoulder, but more on the upper collarbone. Then look how it will fit under the underarm and under the neckline. So you can add more rows 3 and 4 when we are picking up stitches here and knitting the right, because we did here a 2D magic cast on, so you cannot tell where the cast on was. So you can adjust it here, which is more difficult when you have some stripes, but then this stripe is not even. That can happen. But in any other case, yes, maybe you have calculated it before, then you took it into account. If not, that's no problem, I think. So now you do rows 19 and 20 with a make one left and make one right on the right side, and you do it as many times as you need, and then you have to place the stitches on hold and start with the front right panel. That's where we will meet again. Don't forget your color changes if you have some, and if not, just see you then.
So now I have knitted my repeats of rows 19 and 20, and I should have 32 stitches on my needle. So I'm counting 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, and one stitch, one turning stitch is 32. So I didn't miss anything, that's good. And now we have to place the stitches on hold. So for me, that means that I cut this yarn and weave in the ends here, and I cut this yarn. And before I transfer the stitches, I usually make with the yarn I'm working at the moment a yarn over here, and then I weave in the end on this side. I do that because of the edge. When we join afterwards, it looks neater. The V we are shaping here when we mimic our usual turning stitch we would have now if we would just turn here and knit back. In this particular case, I will not do that because I don't have enough fabric of the dark color to weave in here properly the ends at the moment. So I will just let it go off like this. I will kind of hold it like that when knitting together with the other panel, and then when I have knitted some more of the darker color, then I will afterwards weave in this end. That's at least the plan. So I will now put that stitches on hold, leave the stitch marker on it, please. So we will need it when we join the both front panels. Place the stitches on hold with the stitch marker. Don't forget to weave in this end with a yarn over, and then you can start with the front right panel. It's basically the same as this one. The only difference is sorry, my needle is too long and in the way. So The only difference is for this panel, we started first here with the increases for the neckline and later on here for the armholes, so we have more space under the arms, and the right front or front right panel will be mirrored to this, so we first start on this side with the increases for the neckline and later on then for the armholes. And when you have done your repeats on the front right panel for rows 19 and 20, we will meet again when we want to join those two panels. So, see you then. So I have now knitted the second front panel, sort of front right panel, and I am now joining them together. So I lay them here in front of me. I know that this is on the right side, this is on the left side. I have ended here, so I will now start here in the next row. So we are first knitting the panel that's already on our needle, and then we join here together, and then we are knitting this part, and then it's back and forth as before. So I will now put those stitches on my needle, and I have a very long cable. Before I join it around, I have to look if I have a smaller circumference to work with. So I did not weave in this at the moment. I hope you did weave in with the yarn over. I will do that afterwards. So at the moment I just slip it and pick up my stitches. Slide it here to my other panel. So now I can get rid of this. And then we can just start knit the first row of the chapter, join front or join back, because we're doing the same for the back, but we are working on the front right now. So we are knitting our turning stitch. We slip it purlwise with yarn over, knit one, purl one through back loop, knit one, purl one through back loop, slip your marker, make one left, knit to the next marker, so then we have our make one right, slip the marker, purl one through the back loop, knit, purl one through the back loop, knit 1. So now I have the turning stitch of the front right panel, and I knit them together with the turning stitch from my front left panel. So I have actually, if you have made this yarn over, you have 4 legs to knit together, and that's what we are doing here. Just knit them together, go in through all legs knitwise. If you didn't do the yarn over while weaving in this end, you have just 3 legs to knit together. If you have done that, you have 4 legs to knit together. So, and I just laid my yarn that I don't have woven in yet around it, so I can weave it in later. Then knit 1, purl 1 through the back loop, knit 1, purl 1 through the back loop, slip the marker, and make 1 left. Knit to the end of the panel, turn the work, knit back just as the stitches appear. So if you have a purl stitch, purl it. If you have a knit stitch, knit it through the back loop, and then we meet again. So you knit the right side, then you knit the wrong side, and then you knit the right side, and we are meeting here at this marker again, and then I will show you how to make the centered double decrease. So I have now reached my second marker again. So slip, no, don't forget your increase. I haven't made my increase. It's make 1 right. Then slip the marker, purl through the back loop, knit 1, purl through the back loop, and now we are making the centered double decrease. So we are going in not the first but the second stitch knitwise through both legs and just slip them knitwise. Okay, then we are knitting the third one, and then we are passing over both slipped stitches, and that's how the stitch in the middle are now laying above the other both. Okay, and it is the same in the next row. So we now finish the right side, then knit back the wrong side as the stitches appear. And when you come on the next right side here, you actually have your purl stitch, the knit stitch in the middle, and a purl stitch. And you do exactly the same. So in the next right side row, you would slip the purl stitch and the knit stitch together, knit this purl stitch, and pass them both over. So we have only knit stitches here in the middle. And that's how the join is worked through this. And after the joining section, you have a few more rows to go to make it even deeper under the arms. But that's knitted exactly like this part here in the panel. So you have the edge, then you have your make 1 left, then you knit through the complete front side, then you make 1 right, then you knit the edge, and then you're going back. So there's nothing new there. So I would say we meet again when you have knitted the join, when you have finished the front panel, before you put your stitches on hold, after your repeats of row 11 and 12, we will meet again. Until then, happy knitting. I have now finished the complete front panel, and now I have here enough color to show how I weave it in with the yarn over. I already woven the ends here, also this one here in the middle. After now having joined them, I have enough of the dark color to weave in this one. As you can see, I always leave a bit of a tail. That's because I have the feeling when I cut them too close on the fabric before blocking it, then sometimes it will pop out on the wrong side afterwards. And in order to prevent this, I prefer to first leave a tail, then block it, and then cut it on the surface. Or I just leave it as it is because I think it's a handmade garment. I don't mind these little stains here, and as long as they don't look like this while wearing, I don't care about that. Okay, but I'm here at the end, and now it's time to put the stitches on hold. Before that, what I do, I came back here on the wrong side, and if we would not join afterwards in the round, we would go back on the right side. So we would have here a turning stitch with a yarn over forming this edge, and we have the same here on this side. So here we have the turning stitch and the yarn over. In order to have it more stable for the joining stitch or the knit together join, I like to have here also the yarn over to stabilize it. So that's why I will now cut the yarn, pick up my needle, and it's hard to tell with the dark color, but I hope you will see what I'm doing. So now I'm going here over this, forming the yarn over, and then go on the back side and weave it in. I will do that, then I will put the stitches on hold, and then when I've done that, I will show you how to pick up the stitches for the back side. So I have now put the stitches on hold and I'm ready to work the back. As you can see, I let the stitch markers in place because we need them again later when we are joining in the round. So what is important now? The back panel will look exactly the same as the front panel. We first knitted here the front left panel, which had first increases here and afterwards here. Then we knitted the front right panel, which has first increases here and then increases there. Now we want to start with this panel on the back side. So it is mirrored that way or rotated that way. So the front left panel, this one, front left panel, rotating, will be the back right panel. So in order to knit exactly the same, we have to start with the back right panel. Front left, front right, back right. That means that we have to pick up stitches here. So one, two, three, four, five, six, and 7. And we first will knit the right side. So we turn it like this. So maybe before you start knitting the back panel, you can measure this if your child is not nearby, or you can hold it on your child to check if it fits. So these two here are not coming exactly up on your shoulder, but a little bit wider, a little bit forward on your collarbones or the collarbones of the child. And then this has to reach under the middle of the arms. Because when it is wide enough for your child but not deep enough, you can now add here some more rows of row 3 and 4. Or you can skip the repeats if it's too deep and the neckline is too deep, then you can just skip here the rows 3 and 4 and just move on with the next one. So that's what you can adjust here. And otherwise, if you realize you need more rows here, you need to be wider and you need to be deeper, then you can add here a few more rows of the rows 11 and 12. So that's what you can do now. When you're sure that this one will fit, then you can start knit on the front at the back right panel. So we will go back to the chapter knit front left or back right, and then just do exactly the same. So we will knit 1, knit 2 per 1, place a stitch marker, knit 1, place a stitch marker per 1, knit 2, and turn your work. And that is all that is important for the back panels. You now will knit the right back panel, the back right panel exactly like the front left panel. Put the stitches on hold with your stitch markers in place. So you will be here. Then you will pack up stitches here to knit the back left panel. And then you join the both back panels, knit those rows, and when you are finished with the repeats of row 11 and 12 from the complete back panel, that's the point where we meet again and we talk about joining in the round. I now have knitted the complete back panel, and now we are picking up the stitches from the front, So this is where we will start. This is the back panel where we have all the stitches already on the needle. So here we will start, and then when we're knitting across the back panel, we will now here join the front panel, and we have to pick up the stitches with this side of the needle in that way that we don't have here any twists. So I have here a twist, I have to pull it through, so lay it flat, have a look, and then you can see we are joining here on the underarm without having here any twists. We are joining here on the underarm, so that is where I have to start. Pick up the stitches. So I have here the first stitch and a yarn over, and the second knit stitch per knit. So let the stitch markers on hold and then transfer all the stitches. I will do that, and then I'll see you in a minute. So I have now picked up the stitches, and before we start working in the round, we have to turn the work on the right side, and do some preparational stitches. So I just have again to cross my two colors in order to carry up my second color for my straps. So yes, now I can catch it like this. Then we have the last turning stitch with yarn over to knit. So knit your turning stitch, knit one per back loop, knit one per back loop, then remove the stitch marker and replace it with a beginning of round marker. I just use another color, and then we are in round one, so we have a make one left, and then we're just knitting across the back panel, and I meet you here when you've knitted across the back panel. When you reached the stitch marker, we will meet again. I have now reached my second stitch marker, or my first stitch marker after knitting through the back. So I make one right, slip the marker, purl one through the back loop, knit one, purl one through the back loop, knit one, and now I have left my yarn over and my turning stitch on this needle, and I also have mimicked the yarn over here while weaving in the ends here on the inside. So I now have 4 legs to knit together to join. So here is purl one for the back loop, knit one, purl one for the back loop, knit one, and that's the turning stitch with yarn over. It's a little bit difficult to see. They're sticking together, but it's 2 legs here, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4 legs knitting together. If you don't have mimicked the yarn over while weaving in the end of this, then you just have 3 legs to knit simply together. So just, I'll do it again, just go in knitwise through all 4 or 3 legs and bring back the yarn, and it's knitted together. Same as we did here while churning the front and the back panels. So then it's knit one, purl one through the back loop, knit one, purl one through the back loop, slip the marker and make 1 left. So now I'm knitting across the front panel, and I'll meet you again when you have knitted through the back, across the back front. We're on the front now. I'll meet you again when you have knitted across the front panel and you have reached your last stitch marker here. I now have reached the last stitch marker, so don't forget to make one right. Then slip the marker, purl one through the back loop, knit one, purl one through the back loop, knit one, and all I have left is the yarn over and the turning stitch. So since I have a big needle circumference here with my circular needle, I need to knit in magic loop. So we are now finally really closing in the round, so I need to make my little loop in order to join. It makes more fun knitting in the round when you don't have to work with magic loop, but it's not that bad also, so I don't mind. So now you should have also 4 legs to join, because we don't, this is the regular turning stitch and this is a regular turning stitch. So we have a yarn over, a turning stitch, and a yarn over. So it is 4 legs knitting together, and as we did the last time, we go in here through all 4 legs knitwise, grab the yarn, come back, and it's joined. Then it is knit 1, purl 1 through back loop, knit 1, purl 1 through back loop, and that's our first round. So when we have knitted flat, we knitted on the right side all the increases and the decreases, and then on the wrong side we knitted all stitches as they appear. Since we are now working on in the round, we don't have any wrong side working, so we now do the increases and the decreases every second round. So now we are having 1 round where we just knit or purl the stitches as they appear. I always do a trick, so when I reach a stitch marker, I can look in which round I am. So I now have a beginning of round marker with 2 stitch markers. So if I have this pink one on the needle, I have to do my increases and decreases. And if I have the purple one on the needle, I only have to knit without doing any increases or decreases. So this was the stitch marker we had on here at the beginning of round marker. Now that I slip it, I change the color. So I am in my purple round. That's the round where I don't have to do anything except for knitting the stitches as they appear. So now we will not make an increase. We will just knit. And you will do this for the complete next round. So you will not do any decreases here. You will just knit through the stitches. You will not do any increases here on this point. You will just knit. And in the next round, I have to change colors. So what we will do now, I'll show you how I change the colors. Because I will not change the color here where the beginning of round marker actually is, because my color changing is now here in the middle of the underarm. So I will change here a few stitches before changing round. And that's why I think you knit now 1 round until you have reached your last stitch marker before you are in the next round. Okay, so knit the back, knit the front, and on your last stitch marker we will meet again. I have now reached almost my last stitch marker here. Here's the beginning of the round marker. Here's my stitch marker. I need to pull up my loop because I'm almost on the end. So without losing stitches here would be great. And pulling up the loop here until it's gone here. So pushing this through. So here it's gone. It's on the other side. So I can now knit to the stitch marker. And in case I'm not sure in which round I am, when I reach the stitch marker, I now see here my beginning of round marker is purple, so I don't have to do any increases. I just slip the marker, then I purl one through the back loop, knit one, I purl one through the back loop, I knit one, then I knit the next one. This is the joining stitch. I knit the joining stitch, and then I will change color. You can also start changing color here at the beginning of the round marker, but then you have to pass your second color here because we carried it down here. You don't have to remember changing color for stitches before the beginning of the round marker, because we will decrease this whole section. So after joining the front and the back, when you knit pure stockinette down till the end of the top, you will actually have your beginning of round marker here under the underarm. So It's just during joining here those two sections that you have to remember to change the color in this area. And there are several different ways of how to join or how to change colors jogless, and I will show you how that works when we are working in pure stockinette. But here I think it's pointless. This is a part where we have some texture, so when we do our double decrease in the next round here, you cannot see if you have just changed colors or tried to do it jogless. So here you don't have to think about something like that. You just can change the color, don't pull too tight, and then just start knitting here with the new color at this point. So I knit, I purl one through the back loop, I knit, and I purl through one through the back loop, and then while slipping the stitch marker I change it from purple to pink, and then I now know that I have to make one left here. So we now have the round 3 where we do all our increases and decreases again. So I will knit across the back panel and meet you here at the first stitch marker. Then we do again together the CDD, the centered, yes, the CDD, the centered double decrease. In French it's the other way around. It's called DDC because yes, they say it the other way around. So in English, it's CDD, centered double decrease. We do that here together again. And then I will tell you how I carry up the second color while knitting in the round. So we will meet at the next stitch marker again. I have now reached the next stitch marker. So I can now have a look here at my beginning of the round marker. I'm in the pink round, so I have to make my increases. So here I do the make one right increase, and then I also have to do my decreases. So it's purl one through the back loop, knit one, purl one through the back loop, then 1, 2, go in knitwise through the second one with the first one together, slip them together knitwise, knit, I'm not sure if you could see that. So we are here at the point where we want to knit the centered double decrease. So I have here 1, 2, 3 stitches I want to knit together. So I'm going in on the second stitch knitwise through both stitches, knitwise through both stitches, slip them, knit the third stitch, and pass over the first two. Now the middle stitch is above the other ones, so we have the centered double decrease, then purl one through the back loop, knit one, purl one through the back loop, and make one left. sometimes going in there is not as easy. So now, got it. Okay. Here with the color changing, if you don't have stripes, you knit it in one color, you can now just go ahead and then we will meet again when you are knitting the hem. If you're interested in how to change the colors and how to carry up the yarn, you can stay with me. So I will tell you now what I do here. Here, when we were working flat, I carried the other color here on the inside when turning the work. So here now you can see it from the outside. You cannot tell if you have carried here the yarn or not. When when joining here in the round, we now also have to carry up the other colors working yarn. You can also cut it, weave it in every time you change colors. It's completely fine. I don't like to do that. It has advantages and disadvantages. If you are carrying the yarn up and don't cut it every time, you have always to knit with two balls and carry them with you when you're carrying your project somewhere. But I prefer to do that in order to not having to weave in that many ends. So, but if you don't mind weaving in the ends and you like to work only with one ball at a time, I would recommend to cut the yarn every time, weave in the ends, and yes, that's the way you can do. But if you want to carry up your second color, I will now knit two full other rounds. So here I carried up the yarn every row, so it will not pass out here somehow. So that's what I had to catch it every time. Here, when we're having no place where the yarn could go and peek out in the front, I just carry it up every third row or something like that. So it will be 2 to 3 catches in each color section here. So I do it like when you have stranded color work with long strands, when you catch your or trap your long floats. I do almost the same here while carrying it up. So after 2 to 3 rounds, I just cross both yarns, and that's the way I catch it. So I will now, we are in round 3 at the moment, and I will catch the yarn in round 5. So I will show you in round 5 how I catch it or not. We will do it in round 4 because there we don't have anything to do. Round 4. When you are 4 stitches before the beginning of round marker in round 4, I can show you how I catch the yarn here. And if you're not interested in that, you can just skip it. So now I am back almost at the beginning of round marker. I knit this one to the stitch marker. Then I'm in my purple row round, so I just slip it through the back loop, knit one, through the back loop, knit the stitch in the middle under the underarm, and now we are at the point where I carry where I cross my yarns. So I take the color I'm carrying up straight and I wrap the yarn I'm working currently once around, and that's everything I do. Then I just knit as usual, and in the end you cannot see if you have carried it up here in the back. So that's what I do every second to third round. And then knit one for the back loop, and while slipping the beginning of round marker, changing to pink again, and do my make one left. It's Sunday morning, so you can hear my girls in the background arguing with my husband. Yes, so now you can finish this joining part in the round. After having knitted the joining part, it would be a great idea to try it on and look if you have enough space on the underarm, if it's wide enough to fit, or if you have to rip back the joining part and just adding some more of the rows here in front and in back, and then join again. So it will fit afterwards. If it does fit, you can just continue. I will talk about how to change the colors jogless in stockinette when I have to change the next color. That will not be here during the joining section. It will be 3 rounds after the joining section. I will show you 2 different ways to do it. And I say it in advance, I prefer the second one, but I will show you both. So I will now knit the rest of the joining part, and then I knit to my next changing color section, and you will see that your beginning of round marker will come even closer to the underarm. So we had 4 stitches before between the middle and the beginning of round marker. Now it's 3, and in the end the beginning of round marker will sit here, and that's where we will change the color then. So if you're not knitting in stripes, you can just skip and go ahead to the knitting the hem section. But if you're interested in how to change colors jogless, we will meet in a minute. I have now reached 10 rounds with one color, so I'm changing now for the second color. As I said, I will show you 2 different methods. So for the first one, we are slipping the beginning of round marker, and then we are just starting to knit with the second color, and the magic actually happens in the second round. So, but before I start knitting, I just control that I'm not too tight here. I don't want to be too tight when I start knitting with the color. So now I'm just knitting with my second color for 1 round, and when we are back here at the beginning of round marker, I'll show you how to knit the first stitch, so you won't have any steps while changing the colors. So in the first round you don't have to think about anything. The magic happens in the second round. So I've now knitted my first round with the other color, knitting my last stitch, slipping the marker, and now we're doing the trick. That means that we now lift the first stitch from below, back up on the needle, and then we're knitting them both together. And then you can just knit your stripe in the second color. You will not have this step you usually have because you've lifted the stitch, so it's not down here but up there, and that solves the problem. That's the first method. And when I'm changing the color for the next stripe, I'm showing you how to do this with a bit different method. And I prefer the second one more because you do the trick in the first round and not in the second round, so you don't have to think about lifting up the stitch in the second round when you're knitting the other method. And yes, sometimes I think that's easier, because when you do something, when you already change the color, then you remember doing it. But when you're in the flow, just knitting your second round, you maybe miss or don't think about lifting the stitch, the first stitch in the second round. So, but I will show you in 9 rounds how to do that. I'm now ready to change for the next stripe the color, so I'm knitting my last stitch, and with the second method we're doing or letting the magic happen in the first round. So here we just knitted the first round, and then in the second one we were lifting up the stitch from beneath. What you can also do, and what we will do here, is with the yarn on back, we are just slipping the first stitch, and then we're changing the color and start knitting. And then when we are on row 2 and round 2, we're just knitting. So you don't have to think about anything in the second round, you're just knitting. And what we will actually do with that is, you can see it is here not that big of a step as it would when we would have the stitch here and the stitch up here. So it's more even, and you actually do the same with just slipping this one. So it makes no difference picking up the first stitch and knitting it together, or slipping the first stitch and then just knit in the second round. So that's what we will do here. So I will knit this round and then show you how I knit it in the second one. I'm now in the end of my first round, and now when we enter into the second one, here's the slipped stitch. I just can knit it, so I don't have to think or remember anything in the second round, and it is doing actually the same as down here. We're just lifting one stitch up one round, and that's how we will close the gap. So there is a bit of a step, but it's not as big as when we would not do that, but you can also skip that. So now I will knit until the hem section, and that is where we will meet again. And I will just show you how it looks here on the inside with catching the floats from the other color. So that's where I catch the floats on the inside. So I don't have to the stitches, so I don't have to cut it and weave in the ends. So now I let you go, and I will meet you again in the hem section. For the hem, you have now different options. You can just bind off with the Italian bind off. That's where you knit now 2 more centimeters and do your four preparation rounds. We will do them also later. And just bind off. So if you want to do that because you have a very stiff yarn, you can just go to the binding off section. I do that in the adult version of the Chiemsee Summer top, so you can have a look in the tutorial where I do this. You can also knit a folded hem, so you would now knit 2 more centimeters, then knit 1 round with only purl stitches, and then knit 2 centimeters up again, and then you bind off in the inside, or you bind off and then sew it into the inside. Or you just do a ribbing, and you can do a normal ribbing, so a 1 by 1 ribbing if you want, or a 2 by 2 ribbing if that's more your liking, or you can do this 3 by 1 ribbing as I do. That's what I prefer for this design, so that's what I will do here. And then I've now reached my hem section. Ooh. Lose the last stitch, and again, and I will opt for a ribbing, and I will knit the 3 by 1 ribbing. So for another 2 centimeters I will now knit 1, knit 2, knit 3, and then purl through the back loop, knit 1, knit 2, knit 3, and purl through the back loop, knit 1, knit 2, knit 3, and purl through the back loop. And I will do that for the next 2 centimeters, and then I'm ready for binding off. So now I'm at my last few stitches of my ribbing. I've already knitted 2 centimeters, so I now have knit 1, 2, 3, and purl through the back loop and slip the beginning of round markers. So I have here my ribbing. You can see it on the inside better, I think, here with the purling through back loop and 3 knit stitches. And now I'm ready to bind off with the Italian bind off, or almost. You can use any bind off you like, but I prefer this one. But before I will do that, I need to do 4 preparation rounds. So for this, I usually knit a tubular bind off, so I will now knit the tube, and the tube is knitted like you're actually separating now your fabric into two fabrics. So one is going on the outside and one is going on the inside. So you're now switching to double knitting, if you want to call it that. So what we will do is we knit the first stitch as usual, bring yarn in front and slip the second one. We knit one stitch, we slip with yarn in front the second one. We knit one stitch, we slip purlwise the second one with yarn in front. So knit one, bring yarn in front and slip it purlwise. Knit one, bring yarn in front and slip it purlwise. That's what we will do for this first preparation round. Knit one and slip one purlwise with yarn in front. When you have done that, I'll see you again at the beginning of round marker. I'm now at my last two stitches of my first preparation round, so I have knit one and slip one purlwise with yarn in front left, then slip the beginning of round marker. And now we are in our second preparation round, and that's where we knit every other stitch. So the stitch we have knitted in the first round will now be slipped purlwise with yarn in back. So we slip this one purlwise with yarn in back, bring yarn in front and purl it. Slip knitwise with yarn in back, bring yarn in front, purl it. Slip purlwise with yarn in front, bring yarn in. I'm sorry. Again, slip purlwise with yarn in back, bring yarn in front, purl it. Slip purlwise with yarn in back, bring yarn in front, purl it. Slip purlwise with yarn in back, bring yarn in front and purl it. And that's what we will do for the second preparation round. When you've done that, in the back of at the beginning of round marker, we will meet again and we will knit the third preparation round. I'm now at my last two stitches of my second preparation round, so I, with yarn in back, slip purlwise one stitch, bring yarn in front and purl it. Slip the beginning of round marker, and now we are repeating those two rounds. So in this round, in the third one, we will knit one, bring yarn in front, slip it purlwise, knit one, bring yarn in front, slip it purlwise, knit one, bring yarn in front, slip it purlwise. So this is what we will do for the third preparation round again. And in the end of the round, I show you, or in the next round, I show you the last one, and then we're ready for binding off. And I'm again at my last two stitches, so I will knit one and purl, no, not purl, bring yarn in front and slip it purlwise. Then slip the marker, and now in the fourth round we will repeat the second round. So we will bring the yarn in back and slip it purlwise, bring yarn in front, purl it, bring yarn in back, slip it purlwise, bring yarn in front, purl it, bring yarn in back, slip it
purlwise, bring yarn in front, purl it. That's the last round. When we're back at the beginning of round marker, we will start with the bind off. I actually have a complete tutorial on the Italian bind off, so I will link it in the description box down below, where you can follow all the steps a bit not so fast. So I will do it more on slow motion if you need to bind off in more detail. I'm now on my last 2 stitches from the last round, so I slip this with yarn back per the last one, and we are ready to bind off. So I will remove my beginning of round marker. I will now pull out that needle because I don't need it anymore. And then the Italian bind off is a soon bind off, so we have to cut the yarn before starting the bind off. In order to do so, I'm stretching here a bit my project. I had one time the problem that I cut it too tight and that I didn't have enough yarn for the Italian bind off, and that was not funny. So you need at least 3 times the width of your project. So 1, 2, 3, and because I'm a scary person, I'm better safe than sorry. I do here a 4th round, and then I cut the yarn. And put it on my needle. And then I will hold the yarn double and adjust the length while working, because otherwise we will have to pull through so much yarn that will take ages to do so. Okay, now the Italian bind off follows a pattern, but before we can start with the pattern, we have to do 2 preparation steps. So on our first stitch here on the needle is a knit stitch, so we will go in purlwise through the first knit stitch, pull through, which will take some time because we have a lot of yarn, and then you go around in the back, you go through the second and the first stitch with your needle from the back to the front, pull through, which will take some time, especially with this yarn because it's so fluffy, it always tangles somewhere, but it is worth it in the end, so I'll do it. And then you're going in your purl stitch knitwise, so go through the legs here knitwise in the purl stitch and pull through. Don't get any knots in your yarn. So, and these are the 2 preparational steps. From now on, the bind off works with a pattern. So we will start by go in knitwise in this knit stitch,
and drop it. Then go in purlwise in the next knit stitch. So skip the purl stitch, go in purlwise here in the next knit stitch and keep it. Then go in purlwise in the purl stitch here in the front and drop it. So go in purlwise and drop it. Then go in here between the first two stitches from back to front and then go in knitwise in the second stitch here, which is a purl stitch. Go in knitwise and keep it. And then the pattern starts again. So we will go in knitwise in this first knit stitch here and drop it. And you don't get any knots here in your yarn. Yes, knitwise in the knit stitch and drop it. Now I have to find my needle again here. And then go in purlwise on the second knit stitch here and keep it. Go in purlwise in the first purl stitch here and drop it. So go in purlwise and drop it. And then again go through the first two stitches from the back to the front, pull through, and go in knitwise in the purl stitch like this through the legs and keep it. And then the repeat starts again. So it is always go in knitwise, drop it, go in purlwise, keep it, go in purlwise, drop it, come from the back to the front, go in knitwise, keep it. That's the repeat that you will do till the end of the round. And for the last few stitches, I will show you how to connect the beginning here to the end here so you don't will have any gaps. So see you then.
I'm now on my 4 last stitches on the needle. So once again, go in knitwise in the knit stitch and drop it. Go in purlwise in the now second stitch here and keep it. Go in purlwise in the first stitch and drop it. Go between the stitches. Oops. Go between the stitches. Go in knitwise and keep it. Go in knitwise and drop it. And now I go in here, which is hard to see with this yarn, dark and so fluffy. But I go in here in this leg, like this knit stitch would also would be also on the needle. And in our repeat, I dropped the last knit stitch knitwise, so I now have to go in purlwise in the next knit stitch. So I take the first stitch I've knitted, go in purlwise, and then I go purlwise in the last stitch and drop it. Get rid of my needle. And now I'm finding here on the inside my next purl stitch here and go in knitwise, and then I'm finished with binding off with the Italian bind off, and it is stretchy and it looks like the fabric wraps around it, so that's why I like it. As I said, you can use any other method to bind off. And now it's just weaving in the end, and then the Chiemsee Summer top for the kids is ready to block and to wear. I really like those striped kids versions, and I hope you liked this video. I hope you liked the design, and if so, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Until then, happy knitting!